All right, guys. I just recorded a really killer episode on the parallels of endurance sports, AKA just completing my half marathon for the year, and business, and how the habits and mindsets and discipline of endurance sports are so congruent with what it takes to be successful as an entrepreneur. As I crossed the finish line this past weekend, I felt compelled to do this podcast episode for you guys, and I hope you enjoy it. Need some effective tactical advice that actually helps you get results and makes a real difference in your life and business? You've come to the right place. If you're finding yourself here today, it means you're getting ready to gain serious traction in your business, rapidly multiply your income and impact, and you're ready to make it happen while living all out. Guys, I'm Melissa Hinault, your trustworthy corporate dropout turned six-figure business burnout turned happy and healthy CEO of a multi-million-dollar online business. And you're listening to the Burnout to All Out podcast. On this show, we're serving up innovative growth strategies, simple implementation methods to put them into practice, and action-stimulating inspiration tailored specifically for the modern entrepreneur. Let's dive in. Hey guys, I'm so excited to come back to you after a little hiatus on solo episodes because I was in massive sprint mode in business the past couple of months, but so excited to come back to you guys. Today is an episode around my thoughts on how does running 13.1 miles, a half marathon, equates in business. There were so many parallels while I was running my race the other day that I thought I have to do a podcast episode on this race. If you've been listening to my podcast for a while, last year I ran a half marathon around the same time. And I actually did a pre-race episode about training and the parallels to business. I never came back and did an episode about the actual race day itself. And so that's why I'm here. If you're new to listening to me and you're watching me live over on LinkedIn, Melissa Hinault here, huge advocate of the mission I have to create more modern entrepreneurs who are not just focused on business strategy, but realize the whole self is wildly important to be wildly successful in business. And so I think that this episode is really timely with my mission in 2023. So let's get into it. Okay. Let's get into the parallels of enduring a 2.5 hour race, going over 13 miles, clicking over 1 foot at a time over and over and over again. What does that have to do with business? Let me start with the pacer. So the moment I got in line for the race, I found the guy holding the stick with my mile pace goal, which I'm not a fast runner. My goal was to run 11:30 miles. My race last year, I finished at about 12 minutes and 45 second miles per mile, right? So my goal was to shave 1 minute and 15 seconds off my total race pace per mile, if that makes sense. So I found the guy with a stick who was going to be my pacer. And he was my shining light. He was my guiding light. He was my Sherpa the entire race to help me stay on track, stay on pace constantly. And I find the parallel to a pacer in business as a mentor, right? It's just like having a mentor who's guiding you, giving you direction, and keeping you moving along. And at the end of the race, I had to thank the guys because I'm like, you guys, for 8 miles, it was pouring down rain. My feet were soaking wet. I could barely see forward. There were times when I was tired going up the hills and the pacer was getting ahead of me. And I knew that I needed to pick up to stay on pace, just like our mentors hold us accountable in business, right? To stay on pace. So that was number one. Number two is going out hard and fast in an endurance sport creates burnout. Okay. I'm going to say that one more time. Going out hard and fast creates burnout and you can't endure the race. It only works with short sprints. This is just like business. I see so many people perceivably burn out in their business, and they're not actually burnt out. It's because they went at a pace that was not sustainable, right? We have to create space in life when we're scaling business for health, for fun, for joy, and go at a steady, admirable pace, but not so hard and fast that you can't finish the finish line, right? Okay. Number 3, planning and knowing your milestone check-ins along the way help you know if you're on target in your race, right? So I had a pacer who helped me do that, but I also had a watch with a GPS, which also helped me know where I was. So I had milestone goals at each quarter of the race to know where I was as well, right? This is just like business. This is like your business plan for the year. We can't just have an end goal in business for the year, because if we don't have milestones to check in, temperature check in the progress of our business throughout the year, how will we ever know we're actually tracking along at the right pace to hit our target goal, right? So very similar to training for a marathon. Next one, I talked about rain, right? The weather. Okay. Weather can change on a dime. It was raining and then it was pouring down rain. Then it was slightly raining and then there was a ton of sun out, and I didn't bring my glasses and I couldn't see because it was overcast earlier and I didn't want to bring the gear with me. We have to have the mental tenacity and expect bad weather in a race and still move and push through with the end goal in mind. It's just like business. There's going to be good days. There's going to be bad days, but we have to have the mental tenacity to know that when we're in the undercurrent, when we're in a bad day, there's a good day ahead. I have survived all of my bad days, right? And I was telling myself that in the run. I have run through rain before. It is just wet. It's totally fine, right? You can't control the weather. There are going to be moments in business where you can't control what's coming at you, but you can control how you respond to it. Okay. Another one. It is the hardest right before you cross the finish line. The last quarter mile after running nearly 13 miles, you're gassed out, even though I paced myself well, right? There was, headwinds and rain, and it expended more energy than I anticipated because of the weather. And that last quarter mile was uphill and it was killer. And I must have told myself 15 million times, it's okay. You can just walk. You're almost there, right? But that was not my end goal. I had a target race time I wanted to hit, and I was not letting that pacer just run away from me. And so what I want to say here is, as I got to that last quarter to half mile, I saw so many people drop. They saw the hill and they just stopped. They started walking. And I heard the pacer say, "Come on. We've trained all our lives for this. Don't let this little hill ruin your goals. We've trained all our lives for this. Don't let this little hill ruin your goal." I saw so many people drop just less than a quarter of a mile from the finish line and walk the rest of the race. And here's the thing. I see this in business. So many of you are just 3 feet from gold in your business before you give up, right? You're 3 feet from gold in getting your results and you give up before you get there, right? We have to have the mental tenacity to cross the finish line. Okay. The next thing that I want to talk about is this power of 1%. If any of you guys follow me over on Instagram stories or Facebook stories, I shared my training all year long. My goal every week, if you'll recall, was to at least shave a second to 5 seconds off my mile pace each week during my training, right? If you can improve by 1%, just 1% every single week, how much do you improve in 52 weeks? 52%. And so What I have found is this is the same in business as it is in training for a half marathon, whether it's a mile pace or maybe you're working on yourself, professional development. Maybe you've invested in a program or a mastermind and you're working on improving your business acumen, right? Maybe you're working on your personal development to be a better leader. Day to day, that 1% increment every single week while training or improving yourself in business, you don't feel it. You look back and you're like, is this really even helping? Does this even really matter? You're not going to see the results overnight. You're not going to see the impact of that 1% push every single week until you get to the end and you look back and there's massive improvement. Think about it. My race last year, I shaved off 1 minute and 15 seconds per mile. I shaved 15 minutes off my race pace from the year before by simply just going a little bit faster every single week. This is the same in your business. This is the same in your business. When you're in the thick of it and you're doing all the work and you don't feel like you're getting the results, you must keep going at least 1% improvement every single week because you'll hit a critical mass, critical momentum where you look back and you're like, holy hell, I don't even recognize my business. But it doesn't happen overnight. Right? All right. Next couple of things here. Breath is everything. Breathing helps regulate your heart rate. So in the middle of the race, there were times when I could feel, and I had my Whoop strap on, which monitors all the stress on my body. I could feel that I was getting into the heart rate zone that I didn't want to be in, up in that 90 to 100 percentile, especially when I was hitting hills, right? Where your lactic acid starts to be produced. You're going into you're metabolically, it's not good for you in an endurance sport. I'll just leave it there, right? What I harnessed to control my heart rate while running was my breath. It was conscious breathing in through my nose slowly and out through my mouth. And in a matter of minutes, I could bring my heart rate down when I felt the perceived exertion going up. This is no different than business. This is a modality I tapped into this past year to help regulate my nervous system when my nervous system was overridden with stress and anxiety about business, right? I tapped into breath work to regulate a dysregulated nervous system. The breath always wins. Shameless plug, by the way, I'm going to be launching an Unblock Your Business Hypno Breathwork group coaching program for 3 months. It starts in May, and I'm so excited to lift it up and off. If you're interested in that, definitely hit me up in the DMs, or I'm not sure that it's even actually on my website. So you'd have to hit me up in the DMs over on LinkedIn or Instagram. Okay. Now, couple more things, 3 more things I want to hit on. Treat yourself well. So while I was training for my half marathon, and this has been like a year-long journey for me, I have been a ninja with my sleep because you have to sleep a lot when you're training really hard, right? I've been a ninja with my nutrition. I have cut alcohol almost exclusively out, and my health has become one of my main focuses in life because of not only how I perform as an athlete, but guess what? How I perform in business, right? How we treat ourselves. We should be, as entrepreneurs, treating ourselves as high-performing athletes. Why is that? High-performing athletes know that they are the most valuable asset to producing a profit or revenue in their business. We are no different as entrepreneurs. How well are we taking care of ourselves so that we can perform at work? Think clearly, right? Be creative, make the right decisions, be energetically resilient when bad things happen. The better we take care of ourselves, the more resilient we are, right? Which brings me to my second to last light bulb moment around my race. And that is when we were hitting up the turnaround. There was this turnaround. We were maybe 2 miles from the turnaround, and the 1 hour and 30-minute pacer passed us because they were coming back, right? And what I got to see, which I don't usually see in races because it's all one way, what I got to see is all these people passing me who were running a significantly faster mile pace than me. And what I saw were people of all different shapes, and sizes. And what I want to underscore here is that surely they all trained, right? But some of them were clearly more physically in shape than others. Some were carrying more body fat than I have on my body, and they were way ahead of me, right? And so where I'm going with this, with endurance sports, is training, of course, is a huge foundation of it, but mindset is even a bigger player when it gets into endurance sports. The body will go way before the mind will. Your thoughts become your words become your actions, and your actions become your reality. So what are you telling yourself in the middle of the race? What are you telling yourself in the middle of business? What are you cheering yourself on for? Are you your biggest advocate? Do you know you can succeed? Are you moving forward with significant confidence? What I can tell you is that some of these people who were further ahead than me were perceivably not looking to be healthier than me by any means and a much higher BMI. But quite honestly, they probably had more mental toughness than I did. And they were okay with feeling uncomfortable and pushing even harder than I was willing to do. I wanted to finish comfortably without cramps or without injuries, with being 43 with 3 little kids. And my mindset and my pace was where I was set that I was going to move at. But mental toughness is the long game in endurance sports. Mental toughness is the long game in entrepreneurship, right? Do you have the mental toughness to endure, to push through, right? The last thing I want to hit on is rest and recovery with a plan. And this really ties into my modern entrepreneur movement. In my race, I had already planned a cryotherapy session and a compression session post-race. I'd also planned a phenomenal brunch with my family to nourish, right? And I planned a big nap in the afternoon. And this is a parallel to business. Even in the thick of things being super busy, I get a deep tissue massage every single week. You know, I meditate, I do breath work, I get in the infrared sauna, I do cryotherapy, I cold plunge, even in the middle of launches, right? Which is actually the most important. Are you creating recovery time in the fast-paced world of being an entrepreneur? Do you have a recovery plan? Again, another great parallel of this is I knew February and March were going to be batshit crazy. I knew this and I prepared and braced myself for it. We had a live event in Arizona, which was a huge heavy lift. We launched writing a book with our mastermind members. I had the largest launch we've ever had, scaled bigger than we've ever scaled, welcomed in way more clients than we've ever had. And it has been balls to the wall. However, I planned, and I had a half marathon, right? But I planned this incredible trip to St. John immediately after. So today, as I'm streaming live, it's Wednesday. We're catching a flight to St. John on Saturday, and we're going to be there for 7 days with the family with like 0 internet service, right? So are you creating recovery between your sprints? Because I'm here to tell you, if you start out with a sprint when you're actually in a marathon, you're going to burn out and never cross the finish line. We need to pace ourselves. We need to have the mental toughness and discipline when motivation is no longer there. Motivation doesn't keep us moving when we don't feel like it in business or in endurance sports. What keeps us moving is discipline. Do we have a plan and milestones to check in throughout the race, throughout the year with business? And all of this impacts our results, all of it. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode as much as I enjoyed pontificating all of these topics while I was running in the rain last weekend thinking, wow, there are so many parallels to endurance sports and being an entrepreneur. I've got to do a podcast on this. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks, guys, so much for listening in on today's podcast episode. I can't wait for you to see my upcoming guest in the next episode. You are going to love this keynote speaker. Hey, here's the deal. If you liked this, please subscribe and leave a review. And you want the latest online business growth strategies and exclusive LinkedIn pro tips sent straight to your phone? text the word updates to 1-833-310-7171. Again, text the word updates to 1-833-310-7171. Can't wait to see you guys. Come find me over on Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, wherever you like to hang. I cannot wait to hear how you are enjoying and applying what you're learning. You guys reach out to me over on social because I love hearing what's resonating with you. When you reach out to me and you send me those personal DMs, they really do impact the content I continue to bring forward to you. So again, come find me, Melissa_Hinault over on Instagram, Melissa Hinault over on LinkedIn and Facebook. Can't wait to see you guys over there.